Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden with Central Kentucky TV, community focus on Washington County. Today, our first guest is Cassie Robinson, who is the Washington County Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year.
Thank you, Lisa.
And it's a pleasure having you here,
Well,
Cassie.
it's a pleasure to be here, Lisa. I'm a little nervous. I'm not one to get in front of a camera very often, but I really appreciate you having me today.
Yeah. Well, it's just a joy having you here. I think this recognition was well deserved.
Thank you.
And so let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Tell me about this award.
Well, I received a phone call. I had no clue anything was going on, and my brother Bill asked me, he says, "Guess who got Citizen of the Year?" I said, "I have no clue." And he said, "Well, guess." And I think I was coming out of a doctor's appointment at the time. I said, "I have no clue." And he said, "Well, guess." And I kept saying, "I don't know." He said, it was you. He said, "You got the award." And I was dumbfounded because I didn't feel like I deserved it, to be honest. Because when I think of what the award encompasses, I think of people that go out and do things with the county and are more active than I'm able to be at this point in my life with the MS. So I just didn't feel like I was worthy. So, but
Well, Cassie, think about all the things that you do.
well, I do. I enjoy, like I say, I still substitute teach, and I at St. Dominic in Springfield, and then I also tutor privately in my home for reading and math, with all ages of kiddos from kindergarten up through college age. So I do those things, and I'm hoping I'm making a difference in their lives, but I still don't feel like I'm able to branch out like I would like to. There's still more I would like to do.
Well, you were born and raised in Washington County, attended Washington County High School.
Sure did.
And then you went off to college.
I went to Eastern Kentucky University on a music scholarship. I was a French horn player, and I was in the all-state band when I was a junior and senior in high school. I had that honor, which I was very proud of. Went to Eastern. I stayed there for 2 years and ended up transferring to Morehead State University, where I graduated from, because I ended up getting a full scholarship in music there. So that helped my financial situation quite a bit. So graduated from there, and then I also played in the Lexington Philharmonic Orchestra for a few years, and then began teaching at St. Catherine in New Haven, and I was there for about 15 to 16 years, almost 16 years, and I was also assistant principal while I was there. Loved every minute of it, loved working with the kids. I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade language arts, and then taught music. I did the Christmas program there at the school. And on September 11th of 2000, a year before the tragic towers came down, I woke up that morning to go to school, and I could not get out of bed. I just could not move my legs to get out of bed. So after many, many doctor's appointments and many, many things, I was finally diagnosed with MS, and at that point I had to resign my position and take early retirement from teaching. And after I retired from teaching, I was at home for about a year, and during that time I worked with an occupational therapist who came in and helped teach me how to use the power wheelchair, which I'm in today. And back then, my MS wasn't as progressed as it is today. I was still able to use a walker and do a few things like that, where today I'm not able to. But she taught me how to use the power wheelchair. I was also able to get a handicap van, which everybody sees me around and about in. Had that one for 15 years, and then just recently, this past, I guess it would have been December, purchased another handicap van because my situation had gotten worse, where I needed more adaptive equipment. And after I got my van, I was then given the opportunity to be music teacher at St. Dominic in Springfield. And I did that for about 4 years. And then my health began to decline to a point where I needed to go more to a sub position, where if I wasn't able to be there, I could get, I could tell them no. I didn't want the kids depending on me, and then I wasn't there for them. So when I went to that capacity of the subbing, I then started doing the tutoring privately in my home, where I work with kids that, of all ages, like I say, and then mainly math and reading. So, but that's, and then of course I have a family that's very helpful, keeps me in my home and lets me keep doing what I need to do. But that's pretty much what I've been doing up to this point, as far as the professional side of it.
Cassie, how old were you when they diagnosed you?
I was 40. I was 40. So I'm now 55. I'll be 56 this year. Can't believe I'm saying that on television, but that's okay.
All I could say is you don't look it.
Oh, please, thank you. Well, it's so cute. The kids at school will say, they'll ask me how old I am, and I'll tell them, and they'll say, well, Miss Cassie, you don't look that old. And I said, well, you just keep telling me that. Now, I like that. That's a good thing. But no, I was 40 years old, and a lot of times, but I'd had things happen previously. I'd been on a 4-pronged cane. They kept saying it was everything from arthritis. They thought maybe at one point it was rheumatoid arthritis, because I'd tested positive for rheumatoid, gone through testing for that. And then not until, though, I had that day where literally it's like everything just kind of came to an end. But I was 40 years old. So looking back on it now, I look at that as not too old. But at the time, you kind of look at it and you think, well, I could either decide that my life was going to be over, or I had such a passion to work with kids, though, I couldn't let it be over, because that to me would have been the worst thing I could have done. I wanted to continue working with children, and that's where God blessed me, because I often say my last day in the classroom, I never knew was my last day. And that's where it was a blessing, because had I known that I would never be in my own classroom again full time, I don't know if I could have handled that day. But God was good, and I never knew that was my last day in the classroom. And from then on, He's found a way to keep me around kids and keep working and hopefully making a difference with them.
Oh, well, I think that's evident from the award, Cassie,
you.
And everybody knew that anyway.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa.
And, for several reasons, of course. And but one, I know of so many students that you have helped, and what a difference you have made in their lives.
Thank you.
And that is, needless to say, the most rewarding job that anyone can have, and everyone is grateful to you for the inspiration you have been to the children and the motivator that you have been.
Thank you.
And needless to say, an excellent teacher and tutor.
Well, and what they don't realize is, though, I can never give back to those children what they give to me. They are my medicine. They are my reason for getting up every day, continuing on. I mean, I know, I pray I make a difference in their lives, because that's my purpose, that's my passion. I often say teaching should be a vocation, not an occupation. It should, you've got to want to teach and be with children to really do the best you can do. It's not a job you choose because you think you're finished at 3 o'clock. Ask any teacher worth their salt. You're never finished.
Yeah.
Even my kids that I tutor, I tell them all the time, I give them my phone number. I said, I don't care if it's 8 o'clock at night. Call me, leave a message if I'm with another student, and I will call you back if you need help on a homework assignment, or you're struggling with a math problem, or you just need some kind of help with your assignment. And so you're never off duty, so to speak, and that to me is very important. I think you've got to want to help the children, but again, like I say, no matter what I do for them, it doesn't come close to what they've done for me. They are my medicine. They are what keeps me going.
Yeah. Well, And you've kept them going in return because, these children have succeeded. And I know countless stories of parents and kids who have talked about, the enthusiasm you have for teaching, and also you help them realize that they can succeed. And I think that's such an important lesson in and of itself for children.
Well, and I think the key to it also is, as a teacher, it's my job to find the way they can learn. Mm-hmm. So many times it's like, well, a lot of times children just don't get it in the normal way that sometimes we teach a certain skill. And I feel like it's my job as the instructor, as their teacher, to find the way that they can best learn, because everybody learns in a different way. And each child learns in a different way. And if you can find that way, and again, their self-confidence, like you say, that enthusiasm to let them know that, you can achieve anything you want to achieve as long as you do your best. And I always tell them, if your best is a C, then that's awesome, because we've achieved all we can achieve. That letter grade and the standardized testing, yes, all that I know goes into accounting for supposedly how a student does, but I think we can do so much more if we put those type things aside and just build the confidence of the student. Now, do I mean to tell them that everything they do is right and you're great and fantastic? No, because that's not the real world.
Right.
Because you ask my kids, when I need to come down on them, I come down on them. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, or their behavior's been bad at school that week and there's been problems, they don't want Miss Cassie to find out, because, I'm disappointed in them. And I think the fact that they care enough that I'm disappointed means something. And so, no, I don't believe in just saying, you're wonderful and no matter what you do, here's your award and here's your piece of paper, you're great, because that's not what they're going to face when they hit the real world. But at the same token, I think we have to find out what they do well, build their self-esteem, and then go from there. The things they don't do as well, that's okay. Just do it to your best ability.
Right. Yeah. I hope all the teachers of the world are listening to this program today.
Well,
being in the school system, working in the school system myself a lot, when you come across a teacher that has that attitude and that desire to help a child succeed, it's evident, and it just it makes such a difference. So I'm just really, I think our community is thankful that you have that attitude and that love for children and the desire to help them succeed. And I think that's one of the reasons you received the Citizen of the Year award. And of course, we have to talk about those two nephews of yours that think you've also, I think your brother would tell you, and your sister-in-law, that you've been inspirational in helping them succeed as well and go on to do such great things.
Well, of course, Seth Robinson, my oldest nephew, is a sophomore this year at Western Kentucky University. Aaron Robinson, who is my youngest nephew, is a senior at Bethlehem High School, currently looking into colleges and seeing where he's going to head. Again, they were just everything. As you know, I kept them, did homework with them. I was their private tutor all through school until they got to be about the end of their junior year. I was their nanny. I was everything. But I tell you what, I wouldn't have had it any other way. Mm. I loved every minute of it. And they've become two fine young men, and I'm very, very proud of them and what they've accomplished and what they will hopefully continue to accomplish. But at the same time, just like I tell my parents with my kids I tutor and substitute teach, they gave me, those two nephews gave me so much more than I could ever give them. And even to this day, when Seth comes home from college, he stops up to the house, do you need anything? Can I do anything? And Aaron the same way. What do you need? And they changed my furnace filter. I don't guess my furnace filter, Lisa, would ever get changed. Bill would come, but, those two boys, that's just been their job since they were old enough to get to the basement and change the furnace filter, because that's a job that I just can't do. They changed my light bulbs, they changed the batteries in my smoke detectors, but we had a lot of time to get
when you get finished with them, Cassie.
Well, they'd be happy to do it, Lisa. I guarantee you they would, because it's those kind of things. And again, like I say, just spending the time. Of course, Angela was working full time in Frankfort as a lawyer, and of course, Bill has his law practice here in Springfield. And they were both in their 30s and 40s and just getting started and working long hours. And I was able to step in, and let me tell you, I didn't begrudge that at all. It was more a gift to me than it could ever be to them, because we did projects together for school. We did it all. So, but no, like I say, I can't go without talking about those two nephews. You're exactly right.
That's right. And both of them have received the Chamber Youth Award.
Yes. Seth got it, I think, 3 years ago, and Aaron got it maybe 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, both of those boys did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and of course, Aaron has a love of music that I think he got from his aunt.
Yes, I when he was little, I used to put him in front of the piano. I have a piano in the house, and I would play notes and just have him sing the note, sing what he heard. And even at that young age, it was amazing, Lisa, how he could respond, and his notes were always very close to pitch, if not perfect pitch. I always thought he had a good ear, and then as he began to progress, I really felt he had perfect pitch, and I feel that to this day. And then, of course, when I was music teacher at St. Dominic, he was in 2nd grade, and I used to pick the children to do the different parts in the Mass, the singing parts. So I like to get the little ones started young, because once you get them participating at that young age, then they're not 8th grade boys that are nervous or think anything about it. They're used to it. It's old hat. But he sang, I'll never forget. My mom came, and Bill and Angela came, and I had him up in the choir loft, and he sang the Alleluia during the Mass, and he did it a cappella. And I mean, that voice was there even then. I knew what that child had. Mm-hmm. And so even though they didn't become horn players, both of them, and Seth had a talent for music. He played trumpet in the band for a while, and so did Aaron, was trumpet player. But with everything else they were doing, it was hard to commit to because let me tell you, nobody knows what goes into being in the band more than I do, because I marched clear through college and high school and everything, and they were both just involved in other things, like Aaron with the theater and Seth with things that he was doing that they didn't have the time to put into it. But now Seth has musical talent too. Oh, okay. He just isn't as outgoing as I am and Aaron. So he's like his dad. He likes to kind of hang in the back a little more. So. Yeah.
Can you still, do you still do anything with music now then?
Honestly, the MS has taken a toll. I used to give piano lessons and horn lessons.
I thought you did.
For a long time. Mm-hmm. I even went over to Campbellsville College and was the horn instructor over there for about a year. But I got to the point now that I can't hold the horn because my right side is so compromised because of the MS. Playing the piano, no, I can't get both. Now, I can play the left hand sometimes, but as the MS takes its toll, less and less am I able to do what I used to could do. Also, as far as singing, my lungs and my voice aren't what they once were because I don't have the power to keep singing for long periods of time. So, is the passion still there? Yeah, but my talent, I think, has waned because of the because of the MS. But I can live it through Aaron now, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm enjoying.
Yeah, that's great too. Yeah, and so, and of course, your mother and dad are still living in this community, and I know your mom is down at Dr. Brown's.
My mom is at Dr. Brown's. She's been there. It'll be 20 years this year that she's been down there. She started down there when Seth was born, and she's been there ever since. And of course, he'll turn 20 this year, so it's been 20 years. My dad is retired from the state park department, and he lives out. They live out on Perryville Road, and like I say, I'm very blessed. Both my parents are still living. They're just 2 miles out of town, which is nice. I've been very blessed along those lines. And then, of course, Bill and Angela just live a few, about maybe an extra mile out Mikeville Road. So everybody's close enough that if I need them, they're close enough to be there. But no, Lisa, the good Lord has blessed me in so many ways. I mean, yes, I got MS, but, I often look at it and I think, if it had to happen, I'm glad it happened to me and not to somebody else in my family. I think not being able to do anything or help or, if it had to happen, I'm just, it's okay. It's okay just the way it is. Because, I can take it and I don't have any children of my own. I've never married. And so I have a cat, and he's my baby, but he pretty much can take care of himself. So I don't have anybody really depending on me like that, where if you had a family and you had those kind of things, I think it would be much, much more difficult. So I just take care of myself, and then, like I say, that's pretty much how I've handled it to this point.
Well, I know you've had kind of a rough year because you were in the hospital.
Well, twice. I
Yeah.
was in the hospital in June, and I had a bleeding ulcer. My blood count was down to a 5, and it's supposed to be like a 15, so that wasn't good. I had 7 blood transfusions. Worked my way back from that, and then about, I'm thinking it was about the 19th or 20th of December, I ended up getting extremely ill. I had to call an ambulance. I called Bill on the phone. Again, this is where he is so special to me. I called and I just said, Bill, I need you here right now. I've called an ambulance, and he beat the ambulance to my house. So, and that was from Mikeville Hill.
It's a good thing he's the county
attorney. I know. The night that I accepted the award, the night I accepted the award, I remember there was 2 police officers sitting in the back, and I said, thank heavens you guys weren't out on Mikeville Road that night, because I think he would have been in a little bit of trouble, because I know he had to have exceeded a few limits to get there. But of course the ambulance is just behind me, see, on Armory Hill,
Right.
and he beat them. So he got there, and then I ended up being in the hospital for almost 2 weeks. It was almost 14 days, and I went into a skilled nursing place where that helped build me back. And then the day I got the award, if I remember correctly, was in the first week of February, and I still hadn't gone back to subbing or teaching
Tutoring.
privately. Yeah, tutoring. So that next week's when I went back to that. So I ended up having 2 hernias. I had a bowel obstruction in 2 places, and several adhesions from a previous gallbladder surgery that I'd had back in the 90s before they had the scopes, and everything, the fancy stuff. But the good Lord took care of me again. He got me through that. I was in ICU for several days, but they thought I was going to have to be on a ventilator, but my lungs were strong enough, and I give playing the French horn credit for that, that when I got out, they saw that my lungs were strong enough, and I was able to not have to be on the ventilator. So, like I say, I'm one of those people that try to find the positive in everything, because I think if we just look at the negative, I know myself, I would be overwhelmed. You have to look at the good things that God does, because He does good things all the time, every day, all day. And I think if you search for those and you find what your passion is, that on this earth, I think we've done all we can do.
Yeah, and I think that too is one of the reasons for your award.
Thank you,
because
Lisa.
Cassie, you are such a positive role model for everyone, and you could have given up in 2000 when you were diagnosed, and but you have a strong personality, and you are always so positive and happy, and a smile on your face. And I think that is just, that in and of itself is an inspiration to all,
Thank
So I know when I'm driving down Lebanon Hill and I see you out in your wheelchair going to town,
Or pulling weeds in the yard.
Or pulling weeds out,
Yeah, I see.
Working around the house outside,
yes.
and I think, well, for goodness sake, I mean, you just don't give up. You just keep going, and you just always have something going on.
Thank you, Lisa.
So I just think that is wonderful, and again, that's just an inspiration for all. So,
Thanks.
and I don't know if you do anything with the MS Society or.
Right now, I don't, because honestly, by the time I do my tutoring and my subbing, and I'm involved with that, I know the day will come that whenever I go to the grocery store, they always ask, can they help me out with my groceries? And I always say, not today, but now the day's going to come, I'm going to need you to carry those out. Right now I can hang the bags off my arms, and I still have strength enough to do that. And it's always been my theory that if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So I do that, but I know when the time comes that I can no longer substitute teach, or I can no longer tutor, then at that point, that's when I would like to get involved with doing things with the MS Society. And I have given a couple of talks back in, maybe, I'm thinking it was like 2001 or 2002, at a couple MS meetings that were held in Bardstown. And again, that time in my life was such a transition that I couldn't tell you exactly what the dates were, but I do remember doing that. And it was very rewarding. I enjoyed that, talking with other people that, struggle with the same things that I do. And but I remember doing that. But no, down the road, yes. When I'm to the point that I can't have my kids come in anymore, and I can't do those type of things, or my mind won't allow me to continue to do algebra and work with children on the higher level thinking things, then that's when I think I'll be more apt to go into working with the MS Society and doing things with them.
Yeah. Well, I just know you would, again, be such a positive role model for others that have MS, and so in every regard, you've just been a positive role model, Cassie, and I just want to congratulate you on your award, because it is most deserving.
Thank you, Lisa.
And you make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So thank you very much for doing that and for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Great.